What's up, family? It's your boy Daniel James II. I'm your host right here on Black Voices on the Hill. Black Voices on the Hill is a podcast and radio show for the culture. We center Black lives, amplify Black stories, and enhance the Black experience at Cornell, Greater Ithaca, and beyond. Black Voice on the Hill topics range from racism, police brutality, colorism, sexism to Greek life leadership and white elitism in the Ivy League. Black Voice on the Hill envisions a Cornell that's sensitive to the plight of his Black students, aware of the Black excellence in his college town, and unabashed about them changing the world. We see Black excellence at Cornell. We believe in Black empowerment and we love the Black experience. Black Voice on the Hill is brought to you by WVBR News. To see more new and upcoming episodes and for other Cornell and Ithaca News, follow at WVBR FM News on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or visit WVBR.com/news. Subscribe, leave us a rating or review on Apple, Spotify, Google, Overcast, and tune in right here on WVBR 93.5 FM every Friday at 11 a.m. And the podcast releases every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Listen, y'all, I have some very, very special guests this morning. This is the biggest group episode I've probably ever done, but I got some special guests with me, y'all. I have three young ladies. It's supposed to be more of y'all, but you know how it is working with Black people. You know how it is. You aim for nine and you get three. It's all right though. I understand it's a Saturday, but I have three of the jewels from my. So let me preface it by saying, I of course this semester am an intern for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation out of Washington D.C. These three young ladies are also in my internship cohort. I have this morning Cheyenne Richardson. I have Miss Joy Richardson. God, I forgot y'all had the same last name. And I got Gianni Morsell. I call it Gigi. All right. So we got three special people on the show this morning. Say hello to the people, y'all.
Hey
S- I
guys.
I said, say hello, Cheyenne and Joy. Jesus.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. All right. Now, y'all, they all sound the same. So I'm going to try to refer to them by their names when I ask a question and I want them to speak up. Okay. So I want each of y'all, if you could, well, first of all, before I start, I just want to acknowledge this morning, you know, I've witnessed some things across this country that have just been really shocking in terms of uh, people, young people our age group, just missing, disappearing, things of that nature. And of course, this morning, one of those searches for a missing student on Cornell's campus did not turn out in the way we thought it would. We are so sorry to report that Mr. Sean West, class of 2024, has passed away, and he was found this morning. And so I just want to acknowledge his life. He was a human being. He was a coder. He loved life, and he was one of us. He was a Black student at Cornell, and so I just want to acknowledge that this morning and start off. I know that's a lot to start off with, but I just want to acknowledge him and maybe have a moment of silence real quick. Thank you guys so much. So and look at here, we have somebody coming into the waiting room. Well, my Lord Jesus. All right. And we have actually another guest. We have Miss hold on. All
Hi
right, y'all.
Joy.
Ooh,
Hi Joy. Hi Gianni. Hi Cheyenne.
so y'all, we had another guest join us. We had Miss Leonorah Applewhite. So when I stopped the recording, I was going to ask y'all to each introduce yourselves. Of course, I've already established you all were CBCF interns along with myself this semester. And y'all, I'm one out of five guys in the cohort. There are 17 women and five guys. So the other guys must be sleeping this morning. Matt, Makai, Melody, Landry. So, but this morning, I want y'all to introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from, major, where you graduated from, and stuff like that. So, if we can start with Leonorah since she's already unmuted.
Hi. So yeah, my name is Leonorah Applewhite. I graduated from Oakwood University with the Bachelor of Arts in Communications, and I also studied political science. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama, and I want to be doing policy in health advocacy. Do I need to say more?
That's all. That's good.
Okay.
Gianni.
Hello, my name is Gianni Morsell. I am a graduating senior at Morgan State University. I'm gonna be out of there May 15th, so yay.
Let's
Whoa,
go.
whoa.
I'm originally from Prince George's County, Maryland, and in the fall, I will be attending the University of Pennsylvania for a master's in nonprofit leadership.
All right, that's what I like to hear right there. I like that. Yeah, that's going to be a great opportunity. Joy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Joy Richardson. I am from Montgomery, Alabama, and I'm a recent graduate of the University of West Alabama, where I received a Bachelor of Arts in English with minors in political science and music. And I'll be attending grad school this fall for a master's in education policy.
Y'all, Joy is the literal sweetest person in our cohort. You're not gonna meet a nicer person. Joy, what instruments do you play? You said music. Do you play any instruments? You like a
Um,
clarinet player?
well, piano is my main instrument. So piano,
Piano.
clarinet, a little bit of drums. I've kind of dabbled in a lot of things.
See, I know. I be knowing. I'm a trombone player, so I can spot clarinet. I was gonna say either clarinet or sax or something like that. Cheyenne. Last but not least, Cheyenne.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cheyenne Richardson. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. I graduated recently from the University of Louisville with my Bachelor's of Arts in Communication.
Okay. So just to give us some context, in our cohort, we separate them into two segments. So there are the emerging leaders, those who are interested in being possibly congresspersons, entering public service, elected office, etc. I'm an emerging leader. Gianni's an emerging leader. Uh, Joy? Yeah, Joy's an emerging leader. I almost said I don't know why I said communications. Isn't your major communicate? Was your major? No, you said music and what was the other part?
My major was English.
English. Okay, English. See, so she could do both. But and then our communications majors, we have Leonorah and Cheyenne. So they separated them into the two emerging leaders who are sponsored by Walmart, and the communications interns are sponsored by State Farm. So that being said, and the communications interns are those who maybe they want to be the press secretaries. They want to cover the story, what's happening on Capitol Hill, and those types of things. So that was good in terms of an intro. Just to give y'all a little bit more insight too, I guess, could y'all tell me how did y'all each end up deciding to apply to work for the CBCF, and just have you had Capitol Hill experience? Because I'm a junior, and some of y'all are either seniors. Actually, all of y'all are either seniors or college grads. So how did y'all end up knowing about it?
So I can go first. I actually want to make the distinction that even though I am a communications intern, I also have an interest in possibly pursuing a public office one day. And that is what led me to the CBCF as an organization, was to build my network. I actually had been vying for this internship since I was a junior. So when I was in your position, I wanted the internship, but honestly, I had to fulfill a lot of duties to my communications major. So I had to do communications related work, and I was already in internships with private organizations and nonprofits here in Huntsville. So I didn't have the time. And then my senior year rolled around, and honestly, I missed the deadline. So I'm so happy to be able to experience this internship and this program as a graduate. But there's like this gap that people don't really go for after graduation. Like they think they have to immediately go into the workforce, and it's not necessarily true. There are a lot of opportunities out there that you can take advantage of after you graduate. And that's why I chose it.
Yeah, I definitely would say sometimes they do make you feel like, all right, all your internship experience needs to be done by the summer before your senior year. And man, I mean, there really are some great opportunities to fill in not just the gap between maybe, filling in after you graduate undergrad and going into, school again with work, but you can fill it in with the internship as well. So that's very important
Mhm.
to know, or fellowships too. Joy.
Yeah, well, for me, I kind of found this internship by accident. I was looking up scholarships for Black people, trying to use that connection, and I stumbled upon the CBCF's website. And I was looking at their scholarships, but then I saw the internship that was available, and I thought, well, I know I want to go to grad school for education policy, so I thought doing an emerging leaders public policy based internship would be a great intermediate step between graduating from undergrad and going to grad school. So that's what kind of inspired me to go for this internship.
Shy.
Yeah, so for me, I like actually knew a Hill staffer that I followed on social media. We were cool with each other. And like that was the first time that I actually saw like, wait a minute, it's not just, representatives and senators up there. Like it's people in the office and y'all doing stuff. Like I was real confused. I thought I was like, a one man slash woman show. So from there I actually applied. I think like Leonora, did you say you applied before? I actually applied the summer after my sophomore year and I checked all the boxes, but didn't get in solely because of where I lived. Didn't find that out until like 2 months after I had applied. So, anyways, I ended up regrouping, and the following summer, I was like, okay, I still want to work on the Hill. I'm gonna just go at it on my own. So I ended up putting in like over 50 applications, and thankfully was blessed with the opportunity to work on the Hill for a congressman by the name of Tony Cardenas from California. So this is actually my second Hill internship, but I just specifically wanted to work with CBCF Inc. so that I could like get more experience with Black political spaces specifically because the Congress member that I worked for is Hispanic. So I got experience on that side of the caucus, but I wanted to really just, become keen to what's going on like within my own demographic.
Just before Gianni goes, how does advocating, what do you see as the differences between advocating for issues, Black policy issues in, for the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation versus for the Hispanic Caucus?
Well, for me, like, I'm a firm advocate of social justice and inclusion in all facets, not just in the courtroom, but in education spaces, in other spaces as well, healthcare, etc. But I feel that it's different. Like when I worked for the Hispanic member that I worked for me, I felt that I was advocating more on behalf of other minorities. Whereas in this internship, I feel like I'm firmly advocating for communities that like I'm a part of. Both are important, but I just definitely want to gain experience of like advocating firsthand.
All for it. Gianni?
So for me, I first heard about the CBCF internship my sophomore year in college because one of my fellow classmates interned with CBCF. But I had always had like a sort of internship experience or something like that lined up ahead of time. So I never had the chance to apply. That year, I interned in the Maryland General Assembly for Delegate Darrell Barnes. And then immediately after that, I interned with Senator Ben Cardin in his constituent Baltimore office. And then after that, I was working in a legal office for about a year and a half. So I had always been working in a legal capacity or in a political capacity. And, by my senior year, I was like, okay, I know I want congressional experience, like actual congressional experience on the Hill. So I was like, okay, let me apply for the CBCF internship. So I was really happy that I got in because I was like, I'm actually going to be on the Hill or getting that sort of experience. So yeah.
Yeah, she from Baltimore. Excuse me, PG County.
Yes, Prince George's County, Maryland, not Baltimore.
Whatever, whatever. So, but she goes to school in Baltimore at least, Morgan State. So she got Mayor Brandon Scott. You know, Shorty, put your mask on. Shorty, put your mask on. I don't know if y'all seen that on social media, but it's pretty funny. So yeah, there's those reasons. When did I hear about the CPC? Probably honestly on Instagram. Honestly, I've of course followed Angela Rye, as we all do, right? Yeah, if you don't follow Angela Rye, you need to be following Angela Rye. And of course, she was general counsel for the CBC at one time, and then I realized, wait, CBC has a like internship or scholarship opportunities, and so then I realized I found out about the CBCF and sort of just followed the trail. And so I've been following it since freshman year and got the opportunity to apply. I'm of course doing it as a credit internship, so I get like 12 credits for what I'm doing. So it's a great opportunity to sort of kill two birds with one stone. So I want to start off with some hot topics. All right, hot topics, and we're gonna do it by doors. Okay, we're gonna do this by doors. All right. There are three doors. Door number one is political. Door number two is legal slash criminal. Door number three is cultural. Which door would you all like to choose? And you have to gain consensus among the three of you. Which one did you say, Leonorah? Wait, just say it out loud, y'all. Say it out loud. What'd you say?
I said door number three at first, but honestly, we're gonna have to hit all of them anyway, so I don't mind doing any.
Well, it really depends on how long the door, because if you don't know the topic, or if there's not many people like to sort of, well, okay. Door number three, raise your hand. Door number two, raise your hand. All right, so I gotta choose
You're
two
the
or three. I'm the
tiebreaker.
tiebreaker. Dang. Let's start off with something light. So let's do door number three. All right. All right. All right. All right. Well, no, door number three ain't light either.
Wait,
Jesus
I don't think
Christ.
any of these hot topics would be
None of these
light.
hot topics. Door number three definitely not light, but it's also related to a death. So recently, of course, we had in the culture, y'all, the tragic death of DMX, right? And so, but I want to more so not talk about his death, but more so talk about his life. And I guess more so, I just want to ask you guys, what do you feel like was it? Do you guys listen to DMX, or have you had any impact, or what was the impact, I guess, maybe of his passing on just, you feel like, the hip hop industry or music in general? What do you think about DMX?
So I grew up with people around me who listened to DMX, like older family members. And when I heard that he was passing, I was actually at my uncle's house, and my uncle was blasting his music. And I didn't initially have a visceral response to learning that a 50-year-old rapper who's always like been in the lifestyle of drugs passing away. But hearing how other people's testaments to how nice of a person he was and what his music has done for people, that moved me. So like I found myself sitting there doing my work, hearing his music, and like feeling somber. I was sad. Like it's sad to lose somebody that people have looked up to for so long and been impacted by. But on a personal level, I don't have him.
Yeah, I personally didn't grow up listening to DMX, but I remember walking into one of my first dance classes when I was in like high school, and we did a dance to one of his songs, and it talked about kind of the oppression of Black people and the Black experience. And I didn't think too much about it then because I was just doing a dance. But when I think about it now, I think it's so powerful when we have people in these platforms talking about Black people and using their artistic way of expressing it in order to tell the world, this is what it means to be a Black person in America. And I feel like he had such a platform, and he had such a really good platform, and he really used it well. I personally didn't listen to DMX, but like hearing all these testimonies about him and what he's done for people, even like adopting people into his family, it's just really great to see that somebody had such a positive impact on the Black community.
Yeah, I agree with both accounts. I wouldn't necessarily walk down the street and play some DMX, but like everybody know up in here, like that is an anthem. You hear that, you're gonna lose your cool. Like I heard that, I was like, dang, like, kind of like seeing Cash Money. Like I want to take over 99 and 2000. It's just like, it's a cultural thing. And I feel like for me, like, even if you don't feel like, okay, I have a DMX shirt, DMX poster, it's like, for me with music and things in the arts, it's about that transcending power. Like that work that you have is going to be like immortal. Like the moments right now, the people bonding and, even how Leonorah was saying, like learning about her uncle and stuff, like in a weird way, it can bring people together because you realize like different people that you share in common that really like impact you. So I feel like that's like more so what I've been like taking from the moment. Of course, like sadness and, you know, just prayers for his family and loved ones, of course, because I think also with people like that, you know, celebrities in general, that people really focus on like, how does the world feel? But it's like, you don't know what it's like to mourn someone, have everyone else be like, he was this and that to me. And you're like, this is someone I knew in my everyday life. So prayers to them.
I think for me, I never personally listened to him, but just kind of seeing all the news about it and seeing how everybody else is feeling about it and their testimonies and how important his music was to everyone. I'm feeling sad, even though I never listened to his music personally. So kind of just bouncing off what everybody else said, really.
I tell you, it's so funny too how there is this way of mourning that is collective that almost transcends the personal. Like I can say the same thing concerning Nipsey Hussle. Like I didn't really listen to Nipsey's music at all before his passing. But the way in which he died or was assassinated, right, in his own town where he was making, you know, a lot of change and had, you know, his own store there and was really helping and giving back to the community, was really causing cross gang, you know, affiliation and lines and building those bonds and connections. Like I realized the way in which he was taken from us as a people. He was on the other side of the country, and I'm in South Carolina and can feel the impact of his death. I think it's powerful. Is it okay, I guess, for us to mourn for somebody that's not so personal? Because, you know, their family will just be like, man, y'all didn't even know him. Y'all standing outside White Plains Hospital praying for DMX, but you didn't know him. He was somebody's, you know, father, you know, son, brother. Uh, have you
A really
witnessed
good
that?
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, so are you all familiar with MF Doom as the rapper? He passed away not too long ago. And well, I would just give some background. He was a 90s, 80s rapper. And he passed away not too long ago. And his family kept his passing secret for like 2 months. And I think that the level of privacy that they like went to is definitely this unfamiliar. Like we don't see that. Our culture is somewhat immediate. So like to learn about DMX's status while he was in the hospital, like every moment of the day since he was admitted is I think that it's such a personal thing. So as an artist who is as big as him, people have a connection. And I think that that's something beautiful when your art is transcendent, like Cheyenne said, and like what Gianni mentioned about when you have an impact, people feel connected to you. You can't minimize anyone else's mourning. You can't try to stop their grieving. And when you mentioned it's a collective experience, it is like, but for their family, I have no idea how that would impact them. Like, is there an owning on grieving, on grief of a loss just because you're closer to somebody? You see them every day? I'm unsure.
I'll hop in. I feel that personally, of course, there can be unhealthy ways, but I feel like there's no correct way to grieve. You know, I feel like the people who didn't know him are valid in their feelings, but also like that people don't talk about it enough, but anger is a natural response in grieving. So it's like if the family is upset about, because like something that really stood out to me and reminded me of what happened with Kobe is that the media had repeatedly proclaimed that he had already passed away and the family hadn't made that decision, hadn't come to terms with it. So like when you spoke of the rapper MF Doom, I believe you said the name was, and I kept that private for 2 months, I was like, I would rather have had that experience, you know, if I'm DMX's loved one or, you know, his close friend or something like that, just to really process everything before it goes in. But at the very least, to be able to, you know, come out and make a statement about that. But I don't know. I think that also goes into like the culture of social media and all those things. Cause it's like the way I was brought up is like, you don't get on, you know, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, like posting about someone else's family member passing away before they have. Like to give them that space to really process it. And I think that goes into like some of the dangers of celebrity culture, because it's like people feel that they're entitled to this likeness of someone. It's like, you have your own experience with their work and with them, but you're not entitled to that person. I mean, I've just had like recent moments of grieving too. And I've kind of like dealt with things like that. And I'm obviously not famous and my family's not famous, but they're well known in the community. So it's like, I can only imagine how his family feels with that.
I wanted to add another point about holding things before the public, the general public, for celebrities. Like with Chadwick Boseman, like nobody knew he was sick.
That was what I was going to mention.
That was that was a tightly held secret. And because it was a secret, like how do you determine what is worth being sharing with the general public when you're a celebrity? Like you have your art and that's what you share, but your life is your life.
Joy?
I was just going to kind of go off of Cheyenne's point that there's different stages, there's different levels of grieving, and DMX's family, they're grieving because they knew him personally, and we're grieving because we knew what he represented. So I think just knowing just what he represented to the world, to the media, to what we knew from a distance, we still have a right to grieve that part of him, even if we never knew him personally.
I absolutely agree. Oh, go ahead, Gianni.
I'm sorry. And you never really know how much DMX's music, I'm talking about him in like specifically, you never know how that really impacted somebody's life. You know what I'm saying? Like I know artists that have gotten me through really tough times, a breakup, helped me get through a test, helped me to study, right? Like sometimes the music that we listen to and the people that we pay attention to have such an impact, sometimes not even consciously, because when we're listening to music, when we're watching these shows, really these people impact the way that we look at things. And I feel like because of that, people are able to grieve in a different way. I don't know if that made sense, but like DMX may have brought somebody through a really hard breakup, and they should be able to grieve that because they went through that experience and he carried them through that. So yeah, that's how I look at it.
Music absolutely has attachments. Like the nostalgia of hearing a song and being transported back to a feeling, a moment in time that's past, it takes you there.
Man, I love all these responses. Absolutely. I think these are all like very poignant examples too. Uh, man, I don't even want to say some of the names of the artists that have carried me through. I don't want anything to happen to them. Lord, protect, shields, right? Protect them, because definitely their music and their art. The greatest thing though is that I've been able to discover and sort of, um, the more that I discover what Nipsey was after his passing, the more I become entrenched in the memory, and it's almost like, gosh, like how did I miss this almost? So cherish those who are still alive, and maybe battling secretly as well. We just don't know it. And cherish what they mean to you, what they mean to the culture, what they mean to your life, etc. Because when they're gone, what you will have is memories. And so that's really important. So, let's get off grief, y'all. So, let's not even do any more of the doors, because you know what, the rest of the doors low key about death too. So I want to because the other ones. I have a question though. I have a question.
Let's lean into it.
Let's lean into it. Oh my goodness. Maybe we'll go back to the doors after, but I have a question because this is a good trivia question. I was watching Van Lathan this morning, a clip on YouTube, or it might have been Instagram, and the question was, would you rather end racism or have $100 billion? And I need more than a simple answer. I need like you to break it down. Break down your response, Leonorah. Come on, Lily.
That is my nickname though. So I need money, but I don't think that you can cure racism without curing hate. it's a mm. So I wouldn't want to hoard my wealth. $100 billion, like that kind of money can help change lives. You get what I'm saying? Like the impact that racism has can be changed by putting money into certain places. So I think that in getting the money, I would do well with it. But generally, I wouldn't want racism to exist anymore. So I don't have a choice. You're going to have to, I'm still floating around with ideas.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I'm
So,
Joy.
sorry. I'm gonna have to take the 100 billion. But I would see when I think about 100 billion, right? I don't know what I'm going to do with that much money. I would sit there and be like, what am I going to do? So I think something that I would want to do with it is I would at least try to use the money to help African Americans who want to own a home get that home so that we can start building this generational wealth so that Black people can get ahead when it comes to their socioeconomic status so that we're not going to end racism overnight, but we can take steps to get there. And I feel like economics is definitely something that us African Americans need. And also education as well, teaching us Black people what to do with our money, how to save our money, how to budget. I would take that money and I would like help people to get the homes that they need, get the education that they need. So putting that money back into HBCUs and funding. And then I would also take some of that money and I would teach them classes about financial literacy and all of that stuff. And then I'd keep some of it, like half of it. Well, I'd have to get like a financial manager to work that out, but like I'd keep a nice amount of it so I can have generational wealth for my family. So yeah.
Very good.
okay. So my gut reaction is to end racism. But
We from the
from
South, Joy. There's a reason. Joy is
but
from Alabama. You understand?
yeah, I'm from Montgomery, Alabama.
Right,
And
absolutely.
okay, so I feel like even if we do end racism completely, there's still a whole bunch of other isms out there that is going to persist beyond that. So classism, ableism, like you're going to see all those other isms out there because people will find a way to distinguish one group of people from the other to get ahead in life. So I feel like ending racism is completely useless. So I would take that $100 billion and invest it, donate to charity, and uplift Black people and other minority groups. So
Mm. Shy. You know what? Just real quick, I'm grateful that y'all distinguished to Gianni, I think it was you, between like instantaneous or quick fixes. I didn't say you will never end racism. I said, would you rather, if you could do it right now? Right? But I want us to talk to like, yeah, Joy, there are still other isms that would separate and create caste systems. Humans have a way, an evil way of doing that, right? Creating caste systems based on all of these other, attributes. And there are still other forms of hate. I like what Leonorah said about you got to end hate before you can end racism because hate is the root of it all that would
Hate
end.
is the root of it all.
It's the root of it all, and it would end all of the other ones as well. Because we had a conversation this week about even in our did we have a conversation this week about how do we define? Yeah, we had a conversation even in our cohort about how do we define racism, and we were just talking about the distinction between prejudice and individual racism and institutional
Structural. Yeah.
structural. And even the root of most institutions or institutional racism is individual. It's predicated on those individual interactions and hate as well. So, Shy, what you think?
Y'all already took all the deep stuff that I thought of school, so I'm gonna come from my shallow response to the question was
Not the shallow.
that I don't I don't trust either one of these things because first of all, when you said end racism, my immediate reaction was to what Joy said of what does ending racism mean to people? Does that mean racism against Black people? Does that mean you're going to, how people say all Black lives matter versus Black lives matter? Does that mean you're going to emphasize some Black lives, some Asian lives? Like, what does that really mean? Because different people see different things as racist. Some people still don't recognize microaggressions as being a part of racism. Some people still don't recognize, that you are a whole person, that you're not just black or white. You're a black straight woman, or you're a white bisexual man. People don't look at the whole person. So what does that mean? And that goes like to Leonorah talking about ending hate in general. And then honestly, with the money, y'all might laugh, I want to know if this 5 billion taxed or untaxed, because I can't do the same
So
thing.
it's 100 billion. You missing some
100,
digits, baby.
yeah, either
Yeah.
it might be 5 after the taxes. That's what my question is about.
That's a good question.
It's a whole different plan with 100 billion flat out versus 100 million after Uncle Sam.
It's a stipend.
But
No taxes.
say that. You
It's a
ain't say
stipend.
that.
Oh wait,
You
I
have
have
to
a
look at
question about the
all sides.
taxes.
You have to look at all sides, and that's my point. Is that y'all got to look. What's that movie? It wasn't Cinderella, but there's one, Aladdin with the 3 wishes. I need to know what these wishes entail. What are the contracts, and then I'm a pick. So don't just trust what people on the internet tell you.
Mhm.
I had to get that out. That's what my brain be going with these questions. I feel like it's not enough information.
Oh my God. Go ahead. Leonorah, you gonna say something?
Yeah, so I don't know if this is something that do you edit these, because I don't want to say something
Go ahead,
and
love.
let's get in trouble.
Yeah, we do edit. But go
Okay.
ahead, sweetheart.
Okay. Do you guys are you guys doing your taxes on for your stipends? Because you said it's stipended.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait.
I mean, eventually,
So
okay,
does
you're
that
right.
mean you
We
have
do actually have taxes on stipends, don't we?
That's
What type of money do we not have to pay taxes on?
You have to look into it, because I think if you have a stipend, even
business, if you have a business?
I think that if you have under a certain amount a year, like 12,000 or something, that you don't have to pay.
And that was the way I took it. Like if I make below $12,000 in a year, then I don't have to file taxes. So I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but I would.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's how it works too. Yeah.
And also,
Okay.
even
Okay, well, thank you. Financial literacy, that's important, Gianni. That's why we need it.
even if you do file taxes, I believe, are you going to be a student in the fall, Leonorah?
Me, I'm actually looking at classes again to take some more classes before I go full time back to
Because
school.
Sometimes every time that I've filed my taxes, I've never had to pay taxes. Like I did for the state of Maryland, but for my federal taxes, I got a tax return. And that's because I don't make that much money within a year. And I also I tithe and I give money to my church. So most of the time you might just get a refund.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm scared to have to pay, to be honest.
It's never too bad. I think you just have to make a certain amount of money, or own a business or something like that. Like you,
Girl, I'm about to come up with a business today. All right.
Okay, actually, I'm co-leading a nonprofit, or trying to develop a nonprofit right now. So, but girl, I might hit you up on that, because we need all the help we can get.
Because I'm getting my grad degree in that. I can help you out.
Okay.
Y'all getting financial literacy and everything this morning. This afternoon.
Gianni needs to host a financial literacy session for the CBCF.
Obviously.
If y'all want me to.
That can be next.
Oh,
I'm trying to get
link up with Matt.
Edit that out.
Matt is the genius when it comes to finances. I open a Roth.
Okay.
All right. So, y'all. So the consensus. So there's no consensus, basically, right? There is no consensus on this issue. Yeah. Also, shout out to Matt, who was supposed to be this morning, because I thought about starting up a Roth IRA, but when I saw, but then, I don't know. We'll still see. I'm keeping it in the file. I'm gonna file it away, and think about it. How have you found it? Just real quick, Gianni. How have you found your Roth IRA in terms of growth? You got any?
See, what happened was I'm trying to prepare myself for grad school, and so I'm not putting money in there quite yet. I want to wait until I'm settled in graduate school and I'm like, okay, I can allocate this much amount of funds to the Roth IRA. And then if I start working, then I want to do it then. But for now, I'm in a transition period. I'm getting out of school and I'm going into grad school. So I don't want to start putting money in there quite yet. But definitely I would, Matt's the person to talk to.
Yes.
He helped me.
I have something to say as well.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Matt told me that I needed to get a full-time job before I could have a Roth IRA. But basically,
That makes sense.
the next time that I have one, I can the next time that I have a job, I can start it. And because it's like going to tax your income before you you get taxed on the money before you put it in. So when you pull it out, like, and you've just been allocated plus the interest, you have a lot of money. So a lot of people, it's supposed to be a retirement fund, but a lot of people use it like to put a down payment on a house or to start a business. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you can also consider, I'm sorry, Daniel, you could also consider like a high interest, savings account. If you don't want to do a Roth IRA, because that's a good place to like start putting money into your savings, and you get yield at the end of the day over the course of a couple of years, similar to the Roth IRA. So, yeah.
Yeah, the high yield savings. I did that, and mine is like this. I forgot the percentage, maybe 3.5, but I get, depending on the amount of money that I have in my bank account, I get like a dividend every couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Jesus. So, y'all, we just started back recording. Listen, remind me we need some gender diversity in this next meeting, because you know what? These girls, my God. These girls were taught, they don't listen, they don't have permission to lead, like Ayanna Presley said. I love that though. I absolutely love that. This conversation has been great. So my next question is this. Okay, this is the last one, because the last one y'all went into financial literacy, which I love because we haven't had those conversations. But I will say that Congressional Black Caucus Foundation has made it their effort to at least give us some of those skills and start the conversation talking. I love seeing Black young people that are not afraid to talk about money, even though me and Cheyenne was looking like y'all talking Greek to me. We still, I want to see some dividends too one day. I want to see some, I want to see some returns on some investment, and especially with this future of cryptocurrency and everything. Like I just need more, I need more knowledge. So my next question is this. It's a little bit less deep, but it's just about, for those of us that have went to PWIs, like myself and Cheyenne, right? Yes, Cheyenne, PWI. Joy, you went PWI.
Sort of.
Sort of.
My school population was like half and half.
Okay. So PWI. And then there were those who went to HBCUs, Leonorah, Oakwood, Gianni, Work State. All right. So just what has been the value of being an all Black cohort, given your experience, or just not even cohort? Just talk about your HBCU experience and how it lent itself to what you want to do. And then those that are PWI, what have you still been able to do as a Black student at PWI, and what do you think could have been value? What do you think, like the cohort being all Black? What do you think it revealed about just what a HBCU might have been like, or just a modicum of the Black talent and success that exists at the HBCU?
So for me, as a student at Morgan State, the illustrious Morgan State University,
Chill with that. Chill with that. We don't do no illustrious over here. We don't do no illustrious. Just say this.
we don't do illustrious. I had to squeeze that in there. Morgan really, I feel like Morgan and HBCUs in general, you find this sense of community. Especially on your college campus. You can talk to your professor, well, not all of them, but for majority of them, you can talk to them after class. If you have questions, they're there for you. If you want an internship, if you want any type of opportunity, they're there. And I will say that because I go to an HBCU, I've always felt like I've been supported in every little thing that I wanted to do. If I wanted to be an SGA, they were there. When I wanted to study abroad and I went to Russia, they were there. When I wanted internships, they were there. And you don't get that support system everywhere. And I will also say that I love HBCU culture. Like you see Black people and the kings and queens of your university and how they represent your college campus in an amazing way. And then even when you go to like little competitions between HBCUs, you see one school repping their school and they're really hype and they have their chant. And then your school has your individual chant. And it's just an experience that's like none other. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. I literally wouldn't trade it for the world.
So my HBCU, Oakwood University, it is not like a typical HBCU. It is very conservative Christian. Yeah, that's the environment. So we didn't have a lot of what other HBCUs had, but we did have a sense of community. And I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. My school, Oakwood University, is in Huntsville, Alabama, and I went to the academy for a year. So I was just very much used to being around Black people. So when I learned that the CBCF was basically an all Black organization, I naturally gravitated to it because that's where my comfort zone is. um, and I thought that it would be a very good transition for me to go from seeing people who are basically monolithic in their beliefs and in their skin color. They have it's very culturally diverse. That is probably my favorite part. Like I meet people who are African, Caribbean, like so many cultures. But yeah, so I wanted a place where I can transition into white spaces or majority white spaces and feel a sense of confidence in myself. So that's why it was important for me to get into this foundation. It was to ground my roots, especially to have a network of young Black professionals who I can relate with and probably think like. And even if I didn't think like them, I can still find some sort of relation. Yeah. Did I answer your question? Do you have is there
Absolutely.
another part? Okay.
Absolutely. You answered my question. I'm going to wrap it up at the end, sort of just to give some of my thoughts and personal opinions and maybe ask a few more pointed questions. Go ahead, Cheyenne.
Oh, well, yeah, I was going to build off what Leonorah was saying. So, as a student who graduated from a PWI, I have multiple family members who attended HBCUs and, of course, know the people on this call as well and friends that have attended them. And my cousin, who attended Hampton University, he made me really look at things differently when he said that number wise at his HBCU, the number of Black students was comparable to the Black community in total at University of Louisville, my university. And so it really made me look at things differently because it's like you look at a system like that where you're the minority, but you still have, comfortably like number wise, like the force to lead change. So it really like inspired me to try to break down some of those systems and barriers that were working against Black students at the time. So like I made it my mission to like integrate certain executive boards on campus and like break into those leadership positions to like show other people it can be done. Sometimes did it suck? Like at the beginning when I was the only one at the table and my voice wasn't being heard. Yes. Do I think it was worth it in the end? Yes. I think that some of that uplift that my experience at HBCU that I missed that at University of Louisville, but it did make me learn how to grind harder like even that, like any of the internships that I had, I think if I had a different network and, a ready bridge of African American professionals pulling back and didn't have to, get on LinkedIn and search a name and a job, I probably could have done way more. But it does make you have a certain type of work ethic about yourself. I'm not saying that's right. And I don't think that each person who goes to the PWI comes out that way, but I think it made me look at things differently. And I forget who was on it, but we had like an after hours call one day, and I told them, I said, "You guys look like with the internship cohort." I was like, "I'm going to low key struggle when I go back to regular society because like my past 2 to 3 jobs have been predominantly Black faces, and like through grade school, I'm talking elementary, middle, high school, undergrad. The only time I was in a predominantly Black space is when I did things with my sorority and when I took Pan African Studies classes. So having this experience for majority of quarantine has been very refreshing. And also, like Leonorah said, it has like broadened my horizons because I think that sometimes at a PWI, when you're the only student of color in the room or the only student of color that's a woman in the room, that sometimes you get held captive to that whole, well, how do Black people feel about this? Or what's your perspective on it? And I always had to make the disclaimer of this is my perspective from my experience. You might talk to another Black person tomorrow who has the exact opposite, and that's relevant as well. So it's just been a reminder of that like each person has their own truth and to like never stop being like a teachable person.
Well, for me, much like Cheyenne, I had to find the courage to integrate white spaces at my university. Even though the population is roughly 45% white, 45% Black, what I found is that a lot of the leadership roles weren't held by Black people. So when I was going into those leadership roles, I was often either the only Black person or one of few who were present there. So I just really had to find the courage to integrate those spaces and coming to do this internship right now at the CBCF has been so refreshing because I am not used to being in a room full of Black people who are excelling at life, who want to, who are doing something and are in those leadership roles. And at my university, Black people weren't in leadership. They weren't studying abroad. Like I was doing with all the internships that I've done in the past, I've either been the only Black person or one of few. So I really believe that this experience that I'm doing right now is such a unique time in my life.
G, you want to say something?
No,
Okay.
no, go.
So I was just gonna say, yeah, that integration, infiltration. Sometimes you feel like the Black Klansman. Do y'all know that movie? Have y'all seen that? You feel like you going into the KKK to just weed out all the
Yeah, I watched that
evil.
movie.
Good Jesus! I mean, it really can be like that sometimes in terms of just um, being again the only Black person, one of the only Black persons in the space. And I will tell you, especially in leadership at Cornell, I've found sometimes some of the same thing. I mean, it's expected in terms of the fact that I knew I was coming to a predominantly white school, and it's just I just know how these institutions can be sometimes. But I will say that that platforms, number one, there has always been a strong Black student community at Cornell out of any other Ivy League. It was number one. Cornell is often, known as this quote unquote first American university. Granted, founded on indigenous land, but in terms of at least its policy has always been more egalitarian than the others, especially when it comes to accepting students. And then when it comes to our community itself, there's things like the Willard Straight Hall sit-in in 1968, which I talked about on my last week episode 2 weeks ago with my episode with Matt with Mr. Um, Frank Dawson, and he talked about the fact that Cornell was very resistant to creating an Africana Studies department, but due to them having a sit-in, an occupation of this main student area, it led to sweeping reforms, getting rid of the president at the time. The today what's known as the Africana Studies Center. But there were real problems here. I mean, there was a crossing, the burning of a cross. There was the burning down of the first Africana Study Center built by Black students. But there's always been a people of color coalition that sort of had to fight for every single bit of uh, into quote unquote integration, but just I mean the right to be taught an education that was holistic and that was inclusive of black voices as well as indigenous people of color. But since we're talking about Black people, Black voices in particular, so I'm grateful for this experience. I know that I have like a lot of Black Cornell alumni, but let me tell you, it has been quite empowering to be in a again. I had the same testimony. First internship, all Black space. These people come back telling all these issues they have with their coworkers and racial sensitivity and anti-bias training. It's just a problem. Listen, my generation, and let me tell you something. If we have a speaker, I don't care if they're Black, because most of our speakers have been Black. If we have a speaker come talk to us, if they say something that's problematic, we had a speaker come in. Oh, this is what I'm about to say. We had a speaker come in one time, Black dude. Uh, you know who you are. He was he said to us, do y'all not remember this? Somebody asked, I don't remember who it was. Whose whose responsibility, Leonora, do you remember who asked that question? Whose responsibility is it to educate white people about racism? Who asked that?
It was probably all of us. We
It
all
was
asked
we all
segregate.
asked, okay, collectively, I guess. This
This is
man,
the author.
yeah, yeah.
I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there. Okay, then. So I don't remember who asked it. This man looked bold, dead in our face to us and said, well, it's yours. I mean, and he said it just like
Mm.
that and proceeded to provide justification. The all of that could be heard just across the entire, like, the whole Zoom. Because it was something about the level of education we are and just where we are in terms of our movement spaces activist spaces, our education concerning what is our responsibility and what's not is our generation. We're just it's changing, and I absolutely love that. We'll keep even the black, you know, like for lack of a better term, conservative when it comes to social justice, etc. We'll keep that. That boomer generation, sometimes they can be a little wonky, in terms of what we need sometimes in certain things. So I'm very grateful that I've had this experience. Just being with you all has been very enlightening. Yeah. um
I have similar feelings. The that can I ask a question?
yeah, go ahead, swear.
Do you guys believe that all politics is local? Do you believe in the phrase that all politics is local, as in the issues that matter in your home are the issues that matter like globally on a global scale? It's all interconnected.
Yes,
Um,
most important, definitely
yeah.
most impactful. Most
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
I just really wanted to understand if you all on an individual level prefer local politics or working or want to work in federal or like state levels.
I feel like it all trickles down. You know what I'm saying? Of course, the local level of politics is very important, probably one of the most important because it deals with your day to day life. Federal too, but more so local. And so, whatever is done at the federal level always trickles down. Whatever legislation is passed, whatever the Supreme Court agrees to, whatever the president's executive order does, it all trickles down to our individual lives in some way, shape, or form. So, I feel like it's all important, all of it, you know.
Joy.
I don't feel like the two can be separated, honestly. I feel like for me, I would prefer to like if I had to pick a 9 to 5 position, I prefer federal, but that still would come with heavy like, community involvement, where that's like keeping people engaged, like spreading awareness, education. Just because people do forget about local politics and you have exceptions to the rule, but 9 times out of 10, that person that's running for Congress, running for Senate, going to the cabinet, they started as a local council member, as representative at the state level. They started as the attorney general in their state, and I think that COVID has for sure shown us that if we wanted to deny it, that local politics matter. You
Yeah.
can look at the rollout of the vaccine and the difference of regulations across every single state. You see that it matters. In Kentucky, for example, I had to travel about an hour and a half to Lexington to get the vaccine, where I could have crossed the bridge and got it in 15 minutes in a southern city in Indiana, but couldn't just because of the state lines. And I said at the beginning of COVID that, and I still think it's true, that had it not been for this pandemic, a lot of people would not know to this day who their governor was. Um, it wasn't until the governor came and was like, yeah, y'all really not going to the bars, that folks was like, now wait a minute. And I'm hoping to see a lot of change so that a lot of these people who, in my opinion, that's only my opinion, should not be in power at the state level, can get voted out the next cycle. We had Matt Bevin. He caused so many things in Kentucky. From the point of the first 2 years at my university, we were on like risk of losing our accreditation as a university as a whole. And we literally got him out just months before COVID started. So I can only imagine, how that would have changed things if that election hadn't happened. So both important. I prefer federal.
I think too, the implications of local versus federal or national politics. I think it's implicative, even in things like voting rights. I think a lot of times when it comes to Black people in our demographic, there is an effort every 4 years in this punctuated way. A paper I'm writing for about this internship for my school is about the way in which we create these 4 year death traps, where we rally Black folks out every 4 years and we neglect to create coalitions in the interim. And a lot of that is, and what that leads to is things like we allow mass organizing like we did in the past in 2020, 2021, Stacey Abrams, Black Voters Matter, etc., on the ground to get Black people out to vote in this national election, right? And besides a stimulus and maybe somebody got a vaccine, there hasn't been sweeping changes for Black and African American communities in the same way. However, meanwhile, in states like Georgia, The Georgia Assembly, which is still largely Republican despite it being a blue state on a national level, is able to repeal, voting rights for Black, low income, disabled, elderly populations, and there's sort of the governor signs it, Governor Kemp, he just signs it, and it is able to have a immediate impact on people. And I think we have to realize, like, we think about everything in terms of national politics. I mean, they change laws about, they can overturn local election, election, the state can overturn local election boards and change and put in who they want to run elections now. And there's just, there's so many, like, so much evil. There's so much good that can be done on the local level, but there's also so much evil that we've seen, and it has immediate impact on people's lives as well. So that's sort of, I think that was one modicum of an example that really is poignant.
Yeah, and like Daniel, I would like to add too, in light of the conversation on what's happening in Georgia right now. Going back to, I believe it's something Leonorah said, but it's all intentional, and that's what we have to realize. So that's why the 4-year involvements, like you all have said, bother me. We should be rallying for midterms. We should be holding people accountable, throughout the 4 years who are elected and holding them to what they say to do. How we held that accountability, I'm not sure. I would like, if I knew, I would like to support that accountability. But in Georgia, like when we look at the African American woman that was arrested, she was arrested because she was knocking on the door of this representative because it was a closed door signing. They're doing these things quietly because they know that, it's going to be that small group that pays attention if they don't make a big deal about it. So,
Absolutely.
I also just want to point out that local elections usually only have a 30% voter turnout in comparison to federal elections, which only have maybe, I think, 60 or 70% voter turnout, if I'm not mistaken. So, I mean, I really feel like that getting involved in local politics is going to create much more change. It's going to have a much larger impact on people's lives. And also, local and state governments have much more jurisdiction over on the legislation that they can pass and what they can do in comparison to the federal government, which has a lot more regulations and on what they can do.
Y'all, that's stuff as simple as traffic lights. That's like signage on your highways. That's like your tax, like your schools. Like there's so much local things. I mean, that is your school board. That's your mayor. That's your sheriffs. For all intents and purposes. Yes. Listen, we're gonna have police. We gotta pay attention to those types of elections as well. It's so important. Solicitors, there's so many different the DAs, uh, the judges, county judges. You talk about SCOTUS. Listen, they don't hear but 2% of the cases that we argue about half the day. Go ahead, Joy or Gianni. Oh, it wasn't y'all that were gonna speak. Okay, Leonora, were you gonna say something, sweetheart? I'm sorry.
I mean, I can definitely, I believe that if you are somebody who wants to see change, you need to start in what you can control
Yeah.
around you.
Mhm.
And that is your local elections. So if you're having problems within your community, step up, see something. So I've held like voter drives within my county, just pushing, get out the vote initiatives. That's really where my focus is. It's like local things. And when you when you brought up the person who came to speak with us, I felt as if there's something that has to be out of touch with like your community to believe that this is, or that you are responsible for educating someone else like to that level. There's some, you're out of touch with the rest of us. I don't know, maybe I'm just a collectivist in thought, but
I
yeah.
agree. I mean, he literally does live in the UK now, and he fled to live in the UK now. So I mean, he's literally out of touch.
Fled. The word fled.
I mean, he said he
So
fled. He said he fled.
Don't
oh,
give
he
away
said he
who it
fled.
is, Daniel.
Huh?
I
Don't
don't
give
even.
away who it
Oh
is.
my jeez. I'm sorry. Well, you know who they wow. Okay.
I say it.
Listen, the CBCF listens to this like, boy, boy,
I
boy.
will thank
Uh,
him.
so I want to ask y'all just to end the episode, because this has been a great conversation. I want to ask, what's next for y'all? Each of y'all individually. What is next? I know some of y'all graduated from college, some of y'all about to graduate, some of y'all. I know that y'all already said programs. Okay, don't give me what's next. Give me 5 years from now. Where do you see yourself? How about that?
All right. Well,
Honestly, oh, go ahead, Joy.
I was just going to say that I know that I want to go to grad school. And after that, I'm hoping to do Fulbright. So go teach abroad for and then maybe after I finish Fulbright, I'm not sure how long I'm going to stay in a different country, but I do want to eventually come back here, unlike some people, and and eventually make my way back to DC.
Y'all, Joy do not throw shade often, but when she does, the tree just completely falls. Like the palm tree is just in the room. But I would say for me, I'm religious. Like if you want to make God laugh, show him your plan. Like COVID snatched my whole 5-year plan, turned into a 10-year. But in my world, I would say 5 years from now, I'd be a practicing licensed attorney in the realm of corporate or intellectual property law, residing in DC, and still doing either like establishing a nonprofit pipeline for students interested in legal profession, or like utilizing my Juris Doctorate to be able to do pro bono hours to like represent needy communities.
So my 5-year plan, I would like to have my graduate degree, start a business or a few businesses. Entrepreneurship is important for me. I would like to have my JD and also still maintain a level of community engagement. I'm not exactly sure where I would land, but I'm interested in, like I said earlier, health advocacy and public policy. So probably working as a policy analyst. And I want to stay on the East Coast, but I'm not opposed to traveling. So if I have an opportunity abroad that presents itself and I can go to a different country, then I'll do that.
Gigi.
So in the fall, I plan to go to grad school and get my master's in nonprofit leadership. And then after that, I kind of want to take a break from work and school and just travel for a year, because I feel like these past 4 years, especially dealing with COVID and everything like that, I need a break. So I'm gonna take that year off, travel the world, and then I want to be a congressional staffer for a couple of years, make some connections, and then go into the private sector, even working for nonprofits as well. So yeah, that's my plan so far.
Wow. Uh, do I have to answer this question? No, I don't have to answer this
Yes,
question.
you have to answer the
Oh,
question.
Yes,
okay.
you do.
5 years, 5 years. Well, I also would love to do. I thought for a long time I wanted to go immediately into law school. I think I do want to do a 1-year master's program. I'm also looking at programs like Fulbright ETA. I absolutely love. Isn't that a great opportunity, Joy? I think it is, and I would love if I did that to be in Germany. Of course, I took German for 6 years and have intermediate to advanced proficiency in terms of at least, especially writing and reading. But I would
You gotta
love to
hear
do
it.
That's
that.
We have
awesome.
to hear it. We have to
Yeah, you have to sign off in German now.
hear it. Yep.
That's
Oh my God.
Certainly.
I'll
yeah.
copy.
Yeah, let's hear this.
Hallo, wie geht's? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Ja? Nein?
No,
Nein? Nein?
nine,
Yeah.
Don't
Okay.
play.
nine.
You gotta say more than that.
Wunderbar, wunderbar, wunderbar. It's hard having a conversation with somebody that don't speak German.
That
Wonderbar.
doesn't speak it. I can understand it.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
speak to you in English, but that's not what we're here for. Anyways, I want to learn the language, and German is great.
Okay. But yeah, so I would love to do a program like that and then possibly go to law school after that. And I would love to either start my own NGO or work for an NGO. I love programs like um, the Obama Foundation. I love what they do in terms of with black people, black kids, black youth, black males in particular. I like the work that Equal Justice Initiative does as well on death penalty work and stuff like that. So, but I also, of course, I want to go into elected office at some point. So, and of course, I would love with that law degree to practice for a while. So I just have a lot of things floating right now, but you can do it all. That's what I believe y'all are examples of. Y'all living examples that we can do it all. So Uh, y'all, this has been amazing. Any last words? Any final words before we close out?
Thank you so much for having me. And I have enjoyed this conversation and I hope to be a guest back on here someday soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks, Daniel. You know, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Invite us in May.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been fun. The other people who didn't show up, they missed out.
Oh my God.
Incredible conversation. That's all I got to say. I'm really throwing shade today. I'm just feeling it.
What's wrong with you, Joy?
I love it.
Joy woke up in the shade. In the shade.
She said I chose violence.
She woke up and chose violence. um, Thanks, Daniel, for this wonderful opportunity. I love speaking with you guys. I wish we could speak in a more intimate setting, and like I wish our internship was like physical so I could actually like be around you guys. But I really do appreciate talking to you. And Daniel, how do you say bye in German?
Auf Wiedersehen. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf
Auf
Wiedersehen.
Wiedersehen. Auf
Auf,
Wiedersehen.
auf Wiedersehen. Y'all want me to
Auf
spell it?
Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
No. Let me see.
Wiedersehen.
Auf,
Yeah.
Don't go in the story, Daniel. I ain't forgot to send a boomerang.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf.
Wiedersehen.
Okay. Solomon, say.
I'm not
say-
pronouncing that right.
Listen. Say auf
Auf
Wiedersehen.
Wieder.
Yeah.
Zan. Zan.
Zan.
Zan. So Zan is like a verb that means to see, and then so Zan, and then Alvida is like I presume it's later.
Auf
That's
Wiedersehen.
based on the separation of the two parts of the word. So Alvida Zan.
Okay.
Alvida Zan. So we'll say that at the end.
So
Okay.
long, farewell.
That's my movie.
Oh my God. Y'all, this has been amazing. I can truly say about all these people, they're absolutely amazing. And Shy, I just want to personally thank you this
Thank
week for
you.
helping me through my two internship interviews I had this week. She was my coach. She coached me through every single one of them. So when I get that call saying I got it, because we believe it, we gonna speak it. Cheyenne, I'm gonna make sure I give her my just credit. I wanted to do that. Joy, sweetest person I know on this earth. Leonora, I don't know. She's gonna be next Oprah or something, y'all. And Gianni. Hi. Yeah. So, thank you so much, y'all, for being here, and I really appreciate y'all. So, Black Voice on the Hill, y'all, is brought to you by WVBR News. To see when more new and upcoming episodes for other Cornell Ithaca News, follow Black Voice on the Hill on Instagram. Subscribe to us. Leave us a rating on Apple, Google, Spotify, Overcast. Tune in right here again on WVBR 93.5 FM every single week on Fridays at 2 p.m. at WVBR.com, or listen to the podcast when it releases on the following Tuesdays at 11 a.m. on all podcast platforms. We'll see you guys next week. Shout out to my executive producers, Mike Sight, Grace Fairchild, and of course, my musical director, Lauren Thomas. Now, this y'all chance to say it. 3, 2, 1. Auf
Auf
Wiedersehen.
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 You a mess. All right, bye, y'all. Peace out.